Radio. At the bottom of the hour, we're going to have a special guest to call in. Atlanta City President, Miss Felicia Moore, will be calling in. But in the studio, I have my full-time co-host, my national economic advisor, Mr. Noki Hardin. What's going on, bro?
Hey, I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I'm good. We
bro?
woke up today. We back in the studio. We
No
here
doubt,
one
no
more
doubt.
time. We have a guest in the studio. Very outspoken, very has a lot of things going on in Ohio. I met her on a panel discussion maybe back in 2013. Miss Cassandra McDonald was the local president of the Euclid NAACP and also have her own organization. I'm going to let her kind of speak about it. I invited her into the studio. We just going to talk about what's going on in this country. How you doing, Miss Cassandra?
I'm doing good.
First of all, welcome to Georgia.
Yes,
You
thank
came
you.
where it's cold at, huh?
Yeah, I got away from the cold to come down here.
Okay, well, I'm going to be your way in about, at the beginning of this week, I'm going to Ohio. I have a case in Swanton, Ohio. I need to go up there and handle. Coming back to Georgia, and I'll be here for like 2 days. I'm going back up there in March in Toledo to start a official chapter in my hometown.
Nice.
You know, things like that. But you better enjoy the warm weather while you're here.
You know it.
Right. So, Noki, it's been a week. You can see what's been going on. You know, what you got going? Anything you want to say to our viewers right now? Anything you want to say briefly before we get into our guests?
Well, there's a couple of things that come to my mind, but right offhand, I wanted to give a special thanks, man, to Effect Muhammad Walker.
Oh,
man,
powerful
you know
sister was in the studio last
hey,
week.
I thought about that sister all week, man.
Right.
I mean, and my wife, she was like, "Why you so fascinated by her?" I said, "Man, she, you know, she kind of like try to put me in my place, and I respect that, but I gotta admit, man, I wasn't really trying to be a chauvinistic pig or nothing like that. I was really just trying to say, man, that you know, our young sisters, man, they can't take they leadership, or they can't make these people certain women with a certain mentality, man. It can't be they voice of rationale, man. It can't be they leaders, man.
Right. I've been knowing Yvette, man, since like early 2000. Unfortunately, I met her like I've met you.
Yeah,
Her
beautiful
brother was
sister,
killed
man.
by the DeKalb County Police Department, and she called me for help. And unfortunately, but since then, man, you know, she was a victim, and now she's involved in the community. Sometimes when you're a victim, it pushes people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now she's off and running and doing great things. Entrepreneur. She does a lot of stuff in the Virgin Islands. And things like
And I can tell she a warrior because she won't even accept that role. You couldn't even call her a victim.
You're right. She probably said, "Don't be
Man.
calling me no victim." Yeah, she don't like that, but it's just the fact that she's a strong sister, man, and she has a bright future. Miss McDonald, what's going on? First of all, what brought you to Atlanta? You got some breaking news? What you got going on?
Well, I think for me it was, of course, to get away from the weather in Ohio a little bit, but more.
I second that.
Yes, yeah, more so is to kind of expand and grow in my activism with civil rights and law and policy. So
Okay.
I'm looking to bring my organizations down here to Georgia and collaborate and see what we can get done here too.
Okay. Now explain the organization that you founded,
Okay.
and what do you do and stuff like that.
Okay. So the first organization that I actually founded was the Lawyers Foundation.
Okay.
And the Lawyers Foundation was founded in actually 2009. And our focus was a little bit different. It was always about law and legislation and policy and so forth. But then with looking at what was happening with community policing and so forth, we got involved in that.
Okay.
So right now we have civilian review boards, subpoena powers. We go in and rewrite legislation and things like that and look at policy. So that's what the Lawyers Foundation does. The other organization is I founded the first Euclid NAACP in Cuyahoga County.
Okay. Is that outside of Cleveland?
It's the greater Cleveland area, but
Okay.
we're not bound by jurisdiction. So
Okay.
we can pretty much go anywhere. And so I founded that. We made history doing that, and it was under the umbrella of the National Association for Advancement of Colored People.
Right.
However, you will soon find in activism that sometimes the way that you look at how you want to affect change doesn't necessarily agree with that organization's model. So instead of stopping, what I did was rebranded and renamed ourselves, and now we're the National Association and Advisory Council on Policy Making, so that we can move forward in what we wanted to do.
Gotcha. That sounds great. So you plan to bring that movement down here, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, of course, New Order be networking with you.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
of course, you ever want to be multitask, you're welcome. Because I seen your work. We was on a panel together, so I know your work is real.
Yes.
And things like that.
likewise.
Because I don't work with fake people. Because this stuff is serious.
It's serious. Very
It's
serious.
serious. It's very serious. So I'm looking forward to working with you, whatever. But I just want to give an update on the Vincent Truitt case. As you all know, the sad part about that, a mom lost her son. Young man that I think he was 21 years old, was shot in the back by the police, Cobb County. First thing I went, as far as my emotions got involved, I was like, here we go again. How is this justified? But once the DA, when the indictment went down that the officer was not indicted, I got a text message about 10 o'clock at night from the Cobb County DA, Mr. Flynn Brody, who was actually in this studio with me. And he said, I will promise to get back with you once everything comes down. So I took his word on that. And he did text me, and he invited me and the NAACP, the SCLC, some other community leaders to view the video. So I went and seen the video first. It did not convince me. But once he showed me the diagram on actually the facts on why this officer did that, I do have an understanding on why this officer did that. But I do understand is that I'm still sad that, when it comes to us, we don't see our day in court. But when you shoot nine black people and the suspect is white, and you go to Burger King that happened in South Carolina, that aggravates me. So I went in there angry, but I came out like, okay, I see why. But at the same time, there's another young man that lost his life. Making a bad decision. Kids gonna be kids, but when you have a gun and you running towards the police and you waving and you running like this, and I'm a police officer, and I want to go hold my fan, I got to look out for you.
Right.
I see why, but the media didn't say that, so I blame the media.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? They all about ratings, and they want you to watch their news. So it's a game, and things like that. So. But I'm still concerned about what's going on. But I can honestly say that this new DA here in Cobb County is trying to, because he even said at first he was biased about it. He said he was biased, but he said but he has to go by off facts. He had nothing to do as far as about the grand jury not indicting this officer. He presented what was presented to him. To them, like what we seen or whatever, and basically all of the jury, half of them was black. We seen all that. It wasn't just a white jury.
Hey, let me say
Go
this
ahead.
about Mr. Brody too, man, because I want to be 100. And he had said he demanded that we hold him accountable for being in the position that he currently hold, as a DA. And that he's gonna be transparent, and that he's most definitely gonna try to be fair,
Right.
And that's what I respect about him. Now I ain't seen the video, so I don't really have a personal take on it, and I'll be hard pressed to say that I side with the police, because I don't side with the police in a lot of regards, because I know the police, they can make facts up, and we'll be sitting up there talking about this and that, and all the time we taking a narrative, and but Mr. Brody, man, I just feel that he's an honest broker, and he gonna be fair.
Let me just say something. All police are not bad, because we need police, but you got some bad apples on the force that we need to get rid of. So And I know you made that comment that you don't side with the police, but all police are not bad. It's just the good ones out here. I guess they got a code. They don't speak up. It make all of them look bad, because it's a dangerous job, especially right now. This country is so divided, and things like that. That's why we trying to do this thing called bridging the gap. So I understand the pain, and things like that. But, it just affect us as organizations. We got to get out here and change these laws.
See,
and things like, what you think about that, Ms.
No, like
McDonald?
the laws is where it's at. I've always been somebody who really focused on legislation. That's what I do. And I have written legislation for various municipalities and changing their ordinances, everything from police chases to shootings and so forth, because that's what it's going to be. And also protests are necessary because protests actually bring the attention to what needs to be changed with the law.
Right.
Police officers, they do have a code, just like pretty much any other profession, physicians and so forth, they don't tell on each other. But the problem, with that is at the same time is that when you don't speak up and when you don't say anything, it's not just that one officer. I'm looking at your whole police department. I'm looking at how your chief runs it. I look at how the mayor, what the mayor does, because the mayor actually, has the power to do a lot with the police department and so forth. So, and even when it comes to the media, the media is good in some instances, but at the same time, the media puts into your subconscious certain things that you're looking for. So, it all plays a part into that.
And that's exactly what I'm alluding to.
Yeah.
Is that anytime you are supposed to be law abiding and the police supposed to be serving, protecting.
Right.
But here it is, you got an organization with a history where they ain't did nothing but a lot of corrupt things. And it started from the top to the bottom. It ain't just a handful of officers.
Right.
It's a whole organization. And they did some things to people. I'm talking about, I don't care what part of law enforcement you look at. You can go to the FBI or whoever, and you will see how corrupt the system was.
Right.
Now they saying all police ain't bad. Yeah, we know all police ain't bad. But we know all police ain't good.
Right.
But you won't identify the bad ones.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
And you know what? In this, I said this a little while ago. I said the police expect when they come into the community for the community to give up names on people who may have been involved in homicides. But can you do the same for us when your officers may have been involved in something? Can you give us some names?
Right.
That needs to work two different ways, And I really feel too that when it comes to also looking at the police union contracts, we're not spending enough time on paying attention to that because the mayor, bottom line, has the power to direct how they want that police union contract to go. Right. So if they don't want certain things that protect police officers in certain instances, then tell them we won't sign the contract or we won't do this with you until you take that out or you put that in. Right. So it's about policy and law, bottom line.
So what was your perspective when you seen what happened at the Capitol? Because me and you both know, Ms. Downard, if all of us of color went there and did that, it'd be dead bodies everywhere. That show right there, we're in two different Americas.
We're two different Americas,
right.
and it'll always be like that. And when you look at it from, what happened at the Capitol, I'm not surprised because that's the ideology of white supremacy. They have already figured out that we are the majority. We're not a minority anymore. We're the majority. And they're very afraid.
Right.
So the media plays a big part in implementing that fear and showing that, okay, this is what happens to Black people if you don't behave. The officer's going to shoot you and there's nothing that you can do about it, right? So they keep that narrative going. They keep it out there, the fear. Then they want to show the insurrection. This is what's happening at the Capitol. If you can't handle it at the Capitol, how you think you're going to fight police officers in your neighborhood? Right. So, but we can, because the one thing we have to start doing is keeping the officers out of our neighborhoods by policing ourselves.
Especially they don't live in that
and they don't live in that
neighborhood, right.
neighborhood. And
They
and
already
even
come in with an attitude.
right, and even if it's just me and you and we live side by side to each other, let's handle this within here. I don't want him coming in here. I don't want the police coming in here because 9 times out of 10, if it's a argument or something between a husband and wife or girlfriend or boyfriend, they're going to turn it into a different altercation, and 9 times out of 10 that argument can cause that black man or that black woman to get shot by a police officer because immediately they think we're that kind of hostile person. So they don't need to be in our communities. Police yourself, and then we'll deal with the rest.
And I know you was y'all involved in the high profile case in Tamir Rice? So that was in Dayton. Was y'all?
It was
a part
Tamir
of that?
Rice. Yeah.
What
yeah.
was your? I'm from Ohio, and that's that boy. How
Man.
was he? 9 years old?
Tamir was 12, I believe.
You're right. That's right.
Yeah, and so this is the interesting thing about
He
that.
had like a toy gun.
He had a toy gun. So I got to see this case as a law student.
Oh, did you?
So the prosecutor at the time, McGinty was his name. He came up to the law school, and we sat and we dissected that whole video. We saw everything, the evidence, what people said. We got to see it in its totality, and the protocol was not followed.
Okay.
As soon as they came up on that young man, he did not have a chance. And I'm going to tell you something else.
So they just started.
They started firing on him.
Okay.
And here's another thing. He was not taking out his gun.
Right.
The toy gun. It was not in his hand. That's not what happened.
Okay.
As Tamir had on a hooded sweatshirt.
Mm-hmm.
And the sweatshirts that have the 2 open pockets.
Correct.
So the toy gun was inside of there, and as Tamir lifted up his hands out of his pockets, the gun, it fell out. Mm-hmm. He didn't have it as he went like this, and as doing that, that's when it fell out, and that's when he got shot. Okay. So there was no imminent threat right there.
Right. Yeah, when I seen that, I'm like, wow, 12 years old. I mean, how you threat to some police officers?
Right.
And things like that.
That hurt my soul to this day.
Right. Well, it's so many killings going across this country. But one thing I learned is that we have to go off facts, not emotions.
That's right.
Because when you go off facts, you're going to get justice.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So, but it happened to us so much. We so much emotional people, and then, of course, the law. If you're going by the law, they were in the right, but at the same time, we got to get these laws changed.
The laws have to change because you can't.
Because you could be out here protesting all you want, but you got these laws changed. It's not going to change.
And it protects you. The laws are what they are. Right. You can go out there, and if it's on the books, then that's what it is. And until that changes, that's what it's going to be.
True. Someone else just joined us in the studio.
Hello.
A young lady who was very involved in the Breonna Taylor case in Louisville. Actually, was pepper sprayed and arrested.
That was in Washington, D.C.
Okay, you all over the place.
Yeah, I'm all over.
Okay. Kind of introduce yourself or whatever. I invited you in here. We just having an open discussion. I know you're doing great things in the community as well. You have your head in all types of stuff or whatever. Kind of explain who you are and what do you do in the community.
Okay, my name is Shanita Benz. I am an activist. I was in Washington, D.C. when it all started with Breonna and George Floyd.
Okay.
I was there when Trump ordered the peaceful protesters.
Now, you weren't at the Capitol just this past time.
No,
right?
she talking
I'm
about
messing
when
with you. I'm just joking with you. Go ahead. I'm just messing with you.
I've been there, and unfortunately, we were, again, peaceful protesters that were guarded tremendously. So it
treated unfairly.
It beats me how that happened at the Capitol recently. It's unbelievable.
Right. That show you right there. We're in two different Americas.
We're definitely in two different Americas. We're definitely in two different Americas.
So when you seen that and the way y'all was treated, like you said, peaceful, and you see how they wasn't peaceful.
Absolutely.
What did you already knew what was?
I was just looking at the TV in total shock.
Right.
Like if they were black.
Oh, dead bodies.
Like,
they couldn't go live there.
It would have been a massacre.
Yes.
They had to turn the TV off. They couldn't go
live. They
live
wouldn't even
there.
got that far. They would have been started shooting on them as soon as they stepped down.
Tear gas,
Yep.
We were tear gas just for standing outside. I have the video.
I believe
it's the same day when Trump came out, and no, I think that was the next day because I was out there multiple times that week.
Talking about for the photo op.
Well, yeah, when he had the Bible upside down and in front of the
Oh,
church.
that's when you was there.
I was there that whole week.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there.
And also, you was in Louisville too, right?
I was in Louisville. I was
Okay.
arrested with the Breonna Taylor protest on the bridge. We call that that John Lewis moment on the bridge.
Okay.
So we call that event.
Right.
We
Right.
compare it to
Right.
that
Right.
event from back. in
Matter
the
of
day.
fact, there's a young man, 24 years old, who reached out to me. Is having a Breonna Taylor event, and he's also doing stuff for Texas. Have y'all been seeing what's going on in Texas? As far as that,
that's just
but
awful.
when the 24-year-old reached
Yeah.
out to me, I applaud him. Because
That's
at
right.
24, I wasn't an activist.
I wasn't.
And he's doing it, he's calling me, whatever, like I'm, I appreciate talking to me or whatever. He lives in Milwaukee, and he's going to help me get some things started actually in Milwaukee, but you got to grab him early.
You
24
really do.
years
You
old,
do.
and he's hungry.
Yeah.
And they looking for guidance. He was
Absolutely.
like, sir, what, can you help me or whatever, So don't think these young people just out here not don't want to be guided.
Right.
They want to be in them streets.
Absolutely.
And he posted something today. He said, what I'm going to do on my birthday, I'm going to be out in the streets on my birthday. I was like, wow. So, when you first get started, you had that hunger.
you got that energy.
And once you
Yeah,
get
you're ready.
older, you start getting knowledge.
Right.
Okay, what I'm going to step into.
Right.
Because I'm at the point, I'm not going to be wasting my time. I done did this so long. If it's not affected, especially economic-wise, you can have it. Because, and we talk about this, you know what I'm saying? We got to start supporting our own
really do.
economic-wise. Because we could shut a lot of stuff down, but I believe in rally and protest. Yes, it's getting the word out, but
You gotta go
back in the day, they was effective. They was shutting stuff down.
and it has to be you got to be cohesive on the same
organized.
page. The message, organizing, and you don't come out Tuesday, you don't show back up to next year.
No,
on the
no,
next
that's
Tuesday.
not
You have to
effective.
be
Consistent.
consistent in
But
your
But we're not
activism.
doing that.
Yeah.
And I understand
But
people
I think
working
we
and stuff.
are. I think we are, and I think there are small changes that have happened exactly with the Breonna's law. That's a new law where they're
Explain
banning
that if
the
you don't
no
mind.
knock warrants. Because that's what happened to Breonna Taylor. She's
Okay.
in her home sleeping.
Is that just the law in Kentucky or everywhere?
No, they're implementing it everywhere.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was House Resolution 7121 and another one. It's because combined in that act is Breonna Taylor Act, George Floyd Equal Justice Initiative, and one with mental health, youth, and so forth. So that's like a package, and it's because I
Okay.
actually had looked at it from a constitutional perspective
Right.
when they were talking about qualified immunity and how these things were happening. So yeah, it's definitely there.
happening.
It's happening.
It's slowly but
it's slowly but
surely.
surely.
Yeah.
The one thing that I want them to really look at too is the Emmett Till Act. That's part of that, because even when Biden started signing in all these executive orders, we are in 2021, and that Emmett Till Act has been around since how long?
Yes.
And that was supposed to be one of the things, and it's hushed again. It's hushed again because this would allow them to go back and prosecute and get people who may have committed these crimes back in the day to prosecute them. But it's odd that you get less time if they're even caught and if this bill is passed than if another act had have happened. It's less than 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's yeah.
It's pretty much banding statute of limitations.
It is.
So-
It is. So, these are things that, really need to come out when it comes to law and policy changes and how we're looking at the Constitution. We really need to look at that in these people that are in office, our senators, people running for Congress. Look, no more telling us stuff because you think that that's going to say, oh, we feel good about it because I'm watching you. So, and I'm watching this administration. You talked it's in your face.
That's right.
It's time to get it done.
Well, and that's the same thing too with what people were saying about the Fulton County DA Fannie, how she wanted to transfer those cases, and they were rejected by the Attorney General of the state. So people were saying that she ran against District Attorney Paul Howard, on false promises to get elected. And then when she got elected, she promised, like, I'm going to look into the most serious cases that I have that, people are, buzzing about. But when she got in office, she wanted to transfer those.
Be honest, all politicians tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Till they once they get in office, they flip. That's all of them
And,
do
and
that.
see, that's another thing. Catch them before they became that candidate or before
Right.
they became something, because I want to know what kind of involvement you have had, period, before you took that to that podium and you said all this stuff. Because if you don't have any kind of track record or some residual anything that you were active in that, then what you're selling me is beans, because 9 times out of 10 you are not going to do that.
Right.
And I remember visiting Georgia, not Georgia, but Alabama recently, where the governor just signed a 30-year contract for private prisons to rent out
Yeah.
a 30-year
Wow.
contract for private prisons.
When you hear that, know what you
Man,
we talk about politicians.
yeah. Well, we already know how they operate, and they operate, man, from a good old boy network. This the reason why Donald Trump was his actions was overlooked by the legislators, But one thing that I got to say about these sisters, man, they come with it. They come with their facts. They done did their homework.
Backbone.
You know what I'm saying? And man, they ain't just talking about who's who in the place to be. They really being about the business
Right,
and educating us.
right.
What's going on with the law.
That's right. We invite them in the studio. Right.
Yeah.
Right. They say the women's the backbone of the church. Even the organization New Order. I try to get
We'll
more
take
men.
that. Thank you.
For some reason, I try to get more men in the organization. We got some strong people, but it's more women than men. I be like, why is that?
Women's
but-
more compassionate
and they all about their business.
when
That
it come.
too, and
When,
then sometimes it's just the stigma that if they're out in public, nobody want to get arrested. I have videos to show you.
Oh, I seen it on your
Like,
Instagram. I know you're
I've
not
been
making this up.
arrested.
Right?
I've been.
We got a call. Gotta get this phone call, y'all.
I've been stampede,
Let me get this
trampled.
call. Welcome to Real Talk with New Order. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Felicia Moore calling. How are you?
Hey, Miss Moore. This is our guest, y'all. That's the Atlanta City Council, Miss Felicia Moore. What's going on, Miss Moore?
Well, I just got back home from the Chattahoochee Brick Company. As you know, there was a small victory, but not a final one, in which Norfolk Southern has withdrawn its proposal to move forward with plans on developing that property. And many of the people know that it's been stated about the property. It was in the book Slavery by a Different Name, where it was a prison farm where people were worked to death and brutally and atrociously dealt with at that property. And the community, when I was a council member, we were able to keep Colonial Pipelines from developing it. Then after this new term, Norfolk Southern came in with Colonial Pipelines because they would be able to get around some of the city's regulations, and they got into the deal with Colonial Pipelines. But thanks for the efforts of the community, which is kept up at the new council member, Dustin Hillis, and really this last wave that really, I think, really tipped it over, which was Derek Bozeman, Joe Beasley, Reverend Timothy McDonald, Concerned Black Clergy, and others, bringing more attention to it. Norfolk Southern has pulled out of it, and so now the work still continues to make sure that we get control of that property,
Right.
so that an adequate memorial to the lives that were lost and so brutally taken on that facility are memorialized. So I spent the afternoon there, and I'm now with you.
I can honestly say I know, as far as experience with New Order, Miss Moore, again, she's a city council president in Atlanta. And every time I pick up a phone call, I call her. She's been on my radio show before. Her door is always open. We had a sit-down meeting with her. So on my experience, she always had that open door policy. and stuff like that. So I thank you for calling in, Ms. Moore. In the studio, I have my economic advisor. I have a young lady that was involved in the protests at the Breonna Taylor case in Louisville, Kentucky. Also have an activist from Ohio who's relocating down here to Georgia, a possible candidate for New Order, and also has her own organization, Miss McDonald. And we're just discussing the issues. I know that you have a big job ahead of you. Now, is it true that you're running for mayor?
I am.
Okay.
I officially announced on the 20th of January, and I am in the race.
Okay. Can I ask you what made you want to run for mayor?
Well, I really, my thing that I always wanted to be, and that is what I am now, which is president of council. I served on the city council for 20 years representing District 9. And then over the last year or so, our mayor currently, was very instrumental in getting Joe Biden elected. And so there was a lot of talk about perhaps her going to be a vice presidential candidate and or being in the cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
And as our charter is written, because of the timing, as president of council, I would have then had to assume the mantle of mayor and serve out her unexpired term. And, of course, I also would say, well, if I was going to be mayor, I'd have run for it. So I was prepared for both. However, at this point, it does not appear that that is occurring. But there's so many things that are going on in our city, and because I am still an elected official, many people come to me with their concerns and their desires, and there's only so much that I can do.
Right.
From the council presidency, because it's on the legislative side.
Right.
And since I had already put my preparation in place and really thought about what I want to see happen as mayor, I just decided that I prefer to give the citizens an opportunity to see if they would like for me to be working on those for the next 4 years. And I would prefer to be working on it than for 4 years of just hearing their concerns and not really being able to address them.
Well, you have in the room, you have a bunch of activists in here, so they might have some questions for you. We all concerned about what's going on, the police shootings in Atlanta, the high-profile shootings. They might want to get your opinion on that or whatever, and things like that. We might have different views and different disagreements, but again, as you being an elected official, the major city you're running for mayor, of course, we're going to have some questions. Things like that. So anybody have any questions for Ms. Moore? Anybody have any questions? I know you mentioned about the latest situation about the case. I don't know if she could speak on that about the DA.
Wanting to transfer the high profile case.
Yeah. Do you have, and I don't know if you could have any opinion on that as the city council president about they trying to transfer the high profile case. The young man got shot down at Wendy's.
Right,
and the lady just got it. Right.
Yeah, so that's our new DA, Fonnie Willis, and I can only go by the news reports.
Okay.
And that she had asked the DA, because of what happened with the previous DA, that the office, it was a conflict with her office, the Fulton County handling it, and our state attorney general kicked it back to her. And then I think she sent it back again, and he kicked it back to her. Based on what I have read, and I don't know the details, and I'm not a lawyer.
Right.
But there's opinion out there that she was doing the right thing, and that the state attorney general had even encouraged DAs to not deal with anything that they felt that there was a conflict with. But at this point, from what I understand, it is in her hands, which is the DA, Fonnie Willis, and she said that she's going to have to try the case. So I don't know if there'll be more back and forth, and I don't have an opinion on it, because if I have an opinion, I like my opinion to be informed. So I don't know enough about the law,
right,
and her reasoning and rationale But I think that I also heard maybe some of the victims' families were wanting it to be moved as well. So
No, 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 no.
Cool.
The
no,
victim's
not at all.
family
Okay.
does not want the cases. They want her to try the cases because um, I'm just going to leave it at that. The victim's
Okay.
family, I was in a press conference recently with Rashard Brooks' wife and family. They want Fannie to try the cases and not recuse herself from the cases. And the Attorney General, Christopher Carr, sent the cases back to her so that she could
Right.
adjudicate those cases.
Right.
He said
Okay.
she's fully in the position to be able to um, adjudicate those cases.
Okay.
So I'm from Ohio, so I really can't speak from that perspective, but I can make a subjective and objective um, opinion about what's going on. And what we don't want to get into is elected officials. And again, this is just hearing this where they're uncomfortable to make tough decisions.
Exactly.
And that's what it seems like I'm hearing. And, I've been through law school, so I get that. But you can't be so wrapped up into what am I going to look like versus what I need to do.
Exactly.
And we've had enough of that throughout this country. The other thing that I would think when in terms of that, as far as running for mayor, now I'm not sure how the governmental makeup is here, if you guys have a civil service commission or not. But I think that civil service commissions, if you have one, have been underutilized throughout the country because that is a way to overcome the qualified immunity. So if you were a mayor I wish you the best in your candidacy. If you were the mayor and of course you have authority over your police officers, how would you feel about rendering unpopular decisions about getting rid of or seeking to put up officers who operate under the color of law and making that decision to terminate an officer with just cause or due cause or probable cause, whichever way your government calls for it? How would you feel about saying, you know what, this officer must be terminated and we'll deal with the repercussions behind that? I think that's what people are kind of looking for now.
Just some type of accountability
Right.
from
Well-
our elected officials.
You have a
Well,
comment,
and
Miss
I
Moore?
believe in accountability, and that's part of one of the things I've been saying, my mantra as being an elected official. And I do believe that if an officer has done something that is terminable for them to be fired, they should be. But we also got to follow the process, because what happens is if we can look at the cases that we're dealing with right now with the university students that were tased by the officers.
Right.
And
They got their job
officers
back,
were
right?
Fired. Yes, they lost. They were fired. I think it was maybe 24 hours or less. It was less than a couple days. They didn't go through the due process. I think that they were terminated on some emergency order. I'm not sure if all of that process was followed. It went to the Civil Service Board. Because of their level of employment, they have a opportunity to have it heard by the Civil Service Board, and the Civil Service Board overturned it, told the city that they had to be rehired, and we have to pay them back pay. In addition to the fact that they are suing the city civilly as well. Now, that does not still absolve them from what could have happened in the first place, which is they're still under investigation from that incident, and they probably could still be fired if all of the processes are followed, etc.
Right.
So, yeah, I believe in accountability, but I do think, too, sometimes when these things happen in the public, because we're so tired of hearing it, I mean, just generally in the public, we want immediate reactions. And sometimes when we, as elected officials, do things immediately without crossing our I's, dotting our T's, and then making sure we cross our I's and dot our T's, we end up with a backlash result. And I think as an elected official, it's important to be able to explain that process to people and explain to them why, I can't fire this officer in 5 minutes, but I probably can in 3 to 5 days or whatever, is necessary for the process. And I think it's a responsibility of an elected official to explain to people what exactly is going on. Just like we just talked about what's happening with the case going back and forth from the DA to the Attorney General. I think that the DA should really explain to the public the rationale as much as you can legally as to why and what the process is, why you felt that it needs to go back. Doesn't mean people are going to agree with it, but at least people would have a better understanding of why.
There's a letter that Chris Carr wrote.
Yeah. I'm talking about from her side.
Oh, from her, okay, from her standpoint.
Yeah, I saw his letter. Yeah.
Because you know what, you made some valid points, and and this is because I do follow the processes. Of course, I do look at that, and a lot of people don't understand policy and procedure, but at the same time, if people are going to run for certain offices, they need to know about legislation. They need to understand about policy. They need to understand about procedure before they throw their hand in the ring and make those costly mistakes to bring these people back that should be off the force because somebody overstepped, certain requirements of the law to be met before you proceeded in a different way. So, and that's across the board. And I think the other thing too is, because I know and correct me if I'm wrong, you've served in council for quite some time, which shows that you have a acumen for the position. I think the question that I would have for you is, what type of legislation have you brought forward as a council person that demonstrated your ability or either accountability process to show that yes, I looked at this, I presented this legislation, and this legislation will demonstrate that I hear what people are saying, I'm going to do my part, and this is what I would like council to pass.
Well, as far as the 20 years that I've been on council, and everybody has their lane or their kind of areas of interests that they've had. When I came on to council, one of the main issues is, at that time, which we are currently going through now, we had some issues surrounding corruption, misuse of funds, resources, etc., and my record will reflect for sure that I have been a fiscal watchdog of how we spend our money, how money is spent. I haven't always won those battles, but I've done that. Made sure that council and elected officials introduced legislation, and I'm going way back 20 years, making sure that we had mandatory training, because one of the things elected officials will do is when they get in trouble, the first thing they'll say is they didn't know that this was a law or that was a law. I've done a lot of things to make sure that we kept our financial position stable so that we can provide the services and resources to cities, making sure that communities had input. I've authored several pieces of legislation to make sure that the public was aware, that the public had input and could speak to issues. I've had legislation related to just our vulnerable citizens, making sure that they were taken care of, whether it was
legislation.
So, I've done a lot of things, but if you're specific, I don't know if you're specifically asking me about public safety policy.
Like any specific legislation, even if it's just one ordinance that was passed that said we would like to have A, B, and C done. We presented it to the council voted on it, and that legislation passed, even if it was just one.
I just mentioned about 3 or 4 that I passed, I wrote.
But you know what they are, but we don't know exactly what they entail. Like this bill I introduced was to stop jaywalking, and within that ordinance, it said this is how it was, but this is how I changed or amended that law so that it could be beneficial for us.
Okay, well, I'll start with one of the ones that is one of the nearest and dearest to my heart. As I established, I had constituents in my district two of them, as a matter of fact. On one weekend, they came up missing. They wandered away from their home. One had schizophrenia. The other one had Alzheimer's. One with schizophrenia was found in 24 hours. The one with Alzheimer's was not. The next day after church, I went by that family's home, found out the woman had Alzheimer's, had disappeared from her home and hadn't gotten there. I was concerned because the police were looking for her, but it wasn't a coordinated effort. To make a long story short, there was a big coordinated effort to find her, but what I didn't like was the fact that we weren't on it swiftly enough. So I established, with the family's blessing, as what's called a Maddie's call, similar to a Levi's call or Amber Alert that you hear, which is a procedure which the police department has to move quickly and swiftly in trying to find it. It's broadcast on all the news stations, etc. And then it was also established I got it established on a statewide level. So now if you hear a Maddie's call, that's because they're looking for someone that had a mental impairment, whether it's Alzheimer's, dementia, etc. It has saved hundreds of lives over the time that it's been implemented, and it's made it better because
And that's
people
awesome.
who
That's
are vulnerable
awesome.
are now being found. Is that
That's
what you're
awesome.
asking me?
I said
That was
that's
one of many
awesome.
things.
That's awesome. But are there anything related to the major things that's going on? Criminal justice reform, um, the overcrowded prisons, things of that nature that address the black community. Um, you know.
Well, I would say that, majority, I'm not going to say majority, but a lot of people with that are black have Alzheimer's, and Miss Maddie Moore was black. So
No, and I'm saying, and
I'm
we
just
thank
saying
you.
that,
I
but in
mean,
terms of the criminal justice reform, most of the energy and legislation that has gone on around that issue has taken place in the last 2 or 3 years, and particularly after George Floyd. And I'm not a council member, and so I'm not in a position necessarily to introduce that legislation. But I have been protesting like everyone else. I've been involved with the issue from the level that I can as
and thank you
council
for that.
president.
And let me ask you one quick question. So, what if the regular citizen like myself, I'm an activist. What if I came to
Hmm.
you and I said, well, can you help me write this legislation and help me to get this passed? Would you do that?
If it was something that I supported, yes, and if it was something that I didn't, I would explain to you, you know, the challenges you may have in getting it passed. But yes, we can help. I certainly can help and have helped and write legislation myself. And there are many council members who have also been putting forth legislation on the council to address some of the issues that you're talking about.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
I think City of Atlanta has been very progressive in trying to deal with these issues from our standpoint, as well as I know some have been
I don't
even
know.
been
There are
advocating on.
cases like Jamarian Robinson that's been advocating. People have been advocating for years for just to get an answer. Why was he shot 76 bullets? I mean, so I can't honestly sit here and say there's so many people that are dedicated to addressing some of these issues that we're having that we're in desperate need of help for. So I mean,
Well, here's some of the issue with that, and like I said, we can agree or we can disagree. But I just want to tell you what I know. There are several outstanding cases that, personally, I would like to see some resolution to that have happened as a result of the Atlanta Police Department. When the Obama administration had the 21st century policing, one of the tenets of that was that police departments would not investigate their own. So when you have officer-involved shootings, those cases go to the state and the state GBI for investigation. Sometimes people get mad at us as the city because once they're sent over to the state, we're at the whim of their timing on that. And then once it comes out, then you have the court system to deal with. And so there are a lot of cases that I would say and agree with you that are still out there that have not been resolved one way or the other, whether it's to people's satisfaction or not. And I don't know that a mayor or even a council can rectify that, because again, we're talking about process and procedure. So once it goes from the city and it goes to a civil or a court hearing, you got to get through whatever processes of the court, and unfortunately, justice is not as swift as it should be.
Well, thank you, Ms. Moore, for calling in. Thank you for allowing us asking you questions. I know when you're running for office, you don't know what people are going to ask you, because again, us as black people, we're just kind of frustrated what's going on, because it's always us. So appreciate for calling in, and I'll definitely be inviting you back. Good luck on your campaign, and we'll be talking to you later.
Okay, and thank you for calling and for letting me call in, and I certainly I love the discussion, because I think even people who are, whether you're running or whether you're elected,
Right.
We all need to be challenged.
That's
and
right.
We need to hear from people directly what their concerns are, so that if we're not addressing something, we'll know what needs to be addressed.
That's
Thank you.
And I would also say, at least consider people that have went through whatever issue it is at hand. Talk to some of these mothers that have these murdered children, and just have a conversation, and maybe you can feel their hearts, and if there's something that you may not be experienced in, or don't have a lot of knowledge, just speak, have a regular conversation.
Right.
I think that would be a start.
Right.
Okay, and I have, and I will do that, because I think the people who are affected by it, I do think that another piece that we're missing, and I know he's trying to get me off, but I think another piece that we're missing is we really need a strong victim advocate position,
Right.
so that people who are victims of this voices aren't not heard.
And also for children, because like when these people are killed, their families, the kids,
Right.
the children are
Very
still
much.
there.
Right.
Their
That's
brother's
true.
gone,
Right.
So I work with the National Children's Campaign out of Washington, D.C. as well, and that's something that I advocate for as well.
Thank you for the suggestion, and I'll certainly look into it. And thank you all
No problem.
for allowing me to come on and speak.
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Again, that was Atlanta City Council, Ms. Felicia Moore. Thank you for bringing the hardcore questions, because like you said before she called in, these people, we got to hold them accountable. So I'm glad you asked the hardcore questions. You have any? We just sitting back. They doing their thing,
fascinating.
huh?
Yeah, fascinating. And like I said, man, they came prepared. They
Right.
did their homework, and they put her foot to the fire. And I
really
think she got burned a few times. But being a politician, she deviated.
Right. They hear all type of stuff. Believe me, that wasn't. They hear it all. And Miss McDonald, you're not even from here. You
Pretty
ask
much
some
had
questions,
nothing.
yeah. So you go fit right in now. They go like, who is this lady? You might need to be running for office.
Hey, but
That's
one
why you ran
thing-
for office, right? Go
One
ahead.
Yeah,
thing
ran
for
for
sure, and I don't mean it to get off the subject, but she did get stumped, and I don't even understand how she went from to ask you about policies pertaining to police misconduct, and you went all the way to somebody with L's time.
Again, this is real talk with New Order. You could bring anything to the agenda. So I really appreciate what you did or whatever. So what did you run for in Ohio?
State representative.
Okay, all right, okay. So unfortunately, you did not win.
No, didn't win. But you know what though? I can honestly say,
You
'cause I
loved
had got
experience?
sick. I had got sick.
Oh, okay.
But I still only lost by 18% without
Okay.
really going out. So but I like my civil, because I can move the way that I
Right, you like
wanna-
your freedom.
I like my freedom.
Right.
Yeah.
Because people ask me to run for office. I love my freedom. I don't want to get caught up in that system like that. But I guess to be more effective, they want you sitting in them seats. I do understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she come to Georgia on fire,
Yeah.
But we got a lot of work, because
Yeah.
they make organizations because of injustice going on against our
That's
people.
right.
That's why New Order started. What you're doing, why you got involved, because we've been treated unfairly for years, So we fighting back.
That's right.
But you know what though, G Rose?
Go ahead,
I
bro.
noticed with the women, they're more eager to ask another woman that's in that position the hard questions.
Right.
you know, as men, we fall back because we don't know how they gonna take it.
Right.
So we need more women like this.
They was asking some questions.
Yeah, I'm just
wasn't
being for real because y'all say everything. Y'all ain't say nothing.
they? Right. We just sit back.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just being real because women can.
That's true.
They know, they know how to dress another woman.
Right.
We couldn't say the same thing.
That's
They said.
true.
Yeah, she
That's
can't
true.
BS us because she's ran for office. I've been
They're
out
asking for
there.
a vote.
I've been in the industry.
Yeah.
I haven't ran for office, but I have been a federal employee for 13 years. So
Oh,
I know
okay.
It
You
comes
know
with
what's
the
going on, right?
territory. If
If you're running for office, public office.
No, I'm saying
you get chewed up. And my thing was, if I didn't know, you know what? Let me meet. We can meet right after this because I need to know about your issue.
Absolutely.
Because I can't know everything. You have to be realistic. I don't know everything about what's going on in your community, but
right. That's
meet
okay.
me at the
Let's have a
table and let's do
conversation.
this.
Right.
And like you said, stop bringing people to the table that you always have. Get out of that bubble because those people you
They ain't
talking
changed
to,
nothing.
they
That's
ain't
true.
changing
They ain't
nothing.
changing nothing.
Right.
You got to go to these
That's real.
families and bring people in and go on the streets. Half the people we need to reach ain't listening to what we're
Right.
saying.
And you
So you
sitting
got to
here
get out
saying
there.
you really haven't had experience in the criminal justice, but that's major right now. That's what's happening. You're not finna run for office and you don't know anything about police brutality right now. Because that's what we want to know.
You have to be
Knowledgeable.
involved in that. And if you're not, if civil rights is not on a platform and it's a real platform, then go back to the drawing table and come back next
Come
cycle
again,
because
sis.
you
Yeah.
ain't ready.
Come again,
Yeah,
Queen.
you out of touch.
Yeah.
Real talk with New Order. Again, we're still live on DISCO100 Radio. Please call in at 678-638-6626. We have some strong people in the studio. Noki, we just sitting back, huh?
Yeah, man, I'm enjoying it though.
I did not warn you. I said I got two strong
Yes, absolutely.
women
Thank
coming
you
here
for
and go bring
having
the
us.
Glad to be
noise.
here.
Hey, remember I had told you, I said, I wanted to come to Atlanta. I wanted to find like-minded people, and to find people of this ilk.
Right.
Hey, because that's what I want. I want to have an intellectual conversation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to know nothing about your your personality. Let me put it like that. Because your personality may be over the top. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't gonna carry me through the day.
Let's get their opinion on something. You know me and this
Okay.
lad. He got grandkids, right? So when they come to the house, they're not allowed to play with no toys. Okay. This real talk. I want to get y'all.
I know they hate.
Tell them the age.
What's the age?
Oh, 4.
They hate
But explain.
Yeah.
But once you explain it, they might disagree. But explain why you
Well,
do that.
I'm
Because y'all conscious people.
I'm B.O.B.
Watch this.
I'm B.O.B. But I try to prepare my grandkids to be more receptive to what's real instead of falling prey to replica of reality. You know what I'm saying? So I don't toy with their imagination. I don't tell them nothing about no Santa Claus, no Tooth Fairy, none of that. None of that. I tell them everything that I try to tell them. I try to keep them in contact with reality, what's real. You know what I'm saying?
Them to do though for
Job applications.
No, I try to.
Job application.
My play with them is to.
puzzles with them or
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. My play with them is to educate them.
But
To guide them into the
I don't
education.
They about to
you
jump.
can't miss the social interaction and social skills and those toys actually teach them cognitive
We got a call.
ability.
They got you off the hook. We got a call.
Because I'm a counselor too.
Right.
go ahead.
Yeah.
sis.
So
And I've been dealing with mental health challenges before.
Real talk with New Order. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Gerald. This is Sabrina. I'm calling from Toledo, Ohio.
What's my
I
Toledo
had to
chapter?
call
My
in.
field director. What's going on?
Hey, I had to call y'all over there clowning. Y'all trying to get a baby's job applications at 4. Let me call this radio station.
Uh-oh, Noki. We got one. Go ahead. What you got, Sabrina?
Oh, my goodness. I'm looking at my granddaughter's birthday book that says happy hair with a picture of a black girl on it with hair like her. So I'm like, my grandkids play with toys. But I'm not on him about it, because that's his house. I appreciate what he said. I can get with that. We go get them some job applications and some And so, can they get some toy? Like business, get a cash register or something, and we can get them going that way. Some play money or real money, however you want to do it.
You
Yeah.
got a
Go
comment?
get some young
ahead, man.
entrepreneurs over there.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah,
You got a comment?
well,
No.
Yeah, no, I just really want to just really try to keep them
But
grounded.
like she said, those toys
They're
teach them
cognitive
skills.
cognitive behavioral, because when I worked in the prison, that was one of the things that was always the issue, was the cognitive behavioral therapy, right?
Right.
Because toys, even from puzzles to whatever, teaches them alternative ways of thinking and responding and moving. So that part is kind of is important. But when it comes to the toys, like if it was like the Grand Theft Auto or something like that,
Right.
okay,
Okay,
get
okay,
that.
get
We
that.
get
Let her
that.
finish it. Sabrina, you want to finish your comment? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you guys are fine. And I just think this conversation is something about toys because my granddaughter, we just celebrated her second birthday.
Right.
And I was irritated when I was looking for her toys because they're all domestic. Vacuum cleaners, kitchen sets. I'm like, my
okay.
grandkids drive Bentley powered cars. I'm not getting her a kitchen set so she can learn how to wash some fake dishes. My granddaughter, a queen. She gonna be a business person or a president or something. So Noki, I feel you on that. But but I'm like, all these toys are so domestic and they're so sexist. So I just thought this was. I'm like, let me call in and chime in on this toy conversation.
Well, I really appreciate Sabrina. I'll be seeing y'all this coming week. It's real cold there, ain't it?
Yeah, I'm not gonna even lie. You gonna have to bring your winter coat to Ohio.
Right. Well, I'm coming. I'm looking forward to seeing you all, and I can't wait till the 6th of March when we have our meet and greet up there. That's gonna be
Oh,
exciting.
absolutely. And you guys keep doing what you're doing. I did hear the interview, and you ladies were on it.
Oh my God! I might can't go into this more
she
office
was
no more.
not diverted from that question. She was like, "But what I asked you was basically like."
Right.
Yeah. So job well done, ladies. Keep it up, and thank you for doing what you all do.
All right, thank you for calling in, Sabrina.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Bye bye.
Hey, let me say this here
Go
too.
ahead. You got it. Okay.
Yeah, cause I mostly took this stance with my boys than I did with my girls, but I was more sympathetic to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I do love my granddaughters. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to make it seem like I love my grandsons more.
Right.
So I wanted to be a role model to both of them. But my grandsons and my nephews, every day training day. Every day. I didn't play it, man. Because I told them they play with too much stuff. Everything is not a toy. Y'all play too much.
So they like coming
You
over
know.
there?
Oh yeah, they love me. But I mean, well, one of my nephews, he deceased. You know what I'm saying? But that was like my favorite. You know what I'm saying? My grandson, they love me. You know what I'm saying? My daughter shouldn't have to carry out no garbage. None of that stuff. I mean, the values that I was trying to train them or reinforce into their thinking was all about preparing them for the responsibility of being adults.
You know what? Not to take it off subject, but you just said some real key. A young lady walked up to me last week. Now I'm 45.
Right.
She asked me because she was stuck here. She was stuck somewhere. She asked me if I knew how to change a tire on a car. So I said, "Is that bad that you asking a grown ass man if he knew how to change a tire on a car?" So my point is exactly what you're saying. You got to teach these boys early
Stuff like that.
Right.
the simple stuff.
Yeah.
Right. That's true.
I think it was 4-year-old.
Before I was supposed to say before.
Yeah, so
Yes.
because to me it's like it's moderations in everything you do.
Absolutely.
And you pick the toy for that purpose, or you don't pick the toy for that purpose.
Yeah.
And because I have two. My sons are older; they're 28 and 24, but I have grandchildren.
Right.
So and it is because you're not going to come. They cannot sit and watch YouTube all day. I don't want my granddaughter Kamari being like, okay, you learn how to wash clothes and this and that, and that's it.
Right.
No, we're going to play chess. We're going to do different things, to mold. So it's what I'm picking for her, like you said, for them to
Right.
play with.
Well, you know what it because of my situation, it was maybe a little more personal. You know what I'm saying? Because, I wanted my granddaughter to be more astute.
Yep.
And to me, she was missing some things, and I was really trying
So
to
you had
bring
to
her up to
mold it.
speed.
Yeah.
I was really trying to make her catch back up.
Yes.
You know, cause see, when I think about mental retardation, the word retard don't mean that you got a disability, but being retarded means to be hindered, to be impeded, to be stopped. Your development mentally is being impeded. So this is what I was more inclined to trying to build upon, because it I had to do my own personal growth. You know what I'm saying? So I'm giving you information that it took me all these years to obtain, but I'm giving it to you now at a young age. But I'm not saying she couldn't understand or appreciate where I'm coming from, because she don't have the mental
Now, how old is she?
altitude. Forward, that's what I'm saying.
She's four.
Forward. So I'm just saying it to us,
Okay.
so because we can relate to it.
Right.
We understand it. Before, she couldn't understand it. So I'm not addressing her at 4.
Right.
What I'm doing is saying, no, you can't play with Barbie at 4 without giving you an explanation. I'm just telling you can't do it, because I'm your leader. I'm the adult. Parental discretion is advised. I'm the parent.
So who bought the toy?
So what do she?
Her mama bought the toy.
This
That's why she gotta. You can't bring it to my house. Leave it at your mama
Yeah,
house.
and again, I'm just thinking from like a counselor and how kids are developed. Once they get to 6, you're really not changing too much of their persona. That's pretty much how they're going to be. So you have, like you said, okay, this is Barbie, but what don't you want her to learn about Barbie? Because that's the thing. I don't want you to play with her because of this, and you're trying to explain like
Right.
why.
My whole thing is this here. Like I said, I'm dealing with her mental.
Her mental, okay.
So I'm dealing with mental development. I'm trying to develop her mentally. You know what I'm saying? And also, I want to be able to build. We building intellectually though.
So she
But-
got like Legos or something? Like I'm just saying.
No,
At 4,
At
what are you substituting
at-
for the dog?
At 4, I'm substituting me, my persona. I'm giving her me. I'm giving her as her leader.
So I think
So
we're
I'm the
looking at-
example.
So I think we're looking at two. Oh, sorry. I think we're looking like, and I get it because, so you know how is this thing you play with only black dowels or something, or this is the value of this dowel versus another dowel or something like that. Now, at 4 years old, what is her mental capacity, him or her, whatever child you want to look at, what is their mental
Right.
capacity to understand the lesson that's being taught in this? Because a lot of times at an age like that, is not that kids are ready to be intellectually challenged to that particular point. It's more of, I have to identify with my social skills and understanding how to play, because playing is a part of it. Because if they get in school and don't know how to have that social interaction, then there's going to be other problems. And I get what you're saying, because you're the leader, so it's what I say versus.
Okay, let
Decide.
me say this here, because you said you work with children's, right?
I work with adults and children.
Okay, so you know as well as I know that children's are apt at imitation.
But what is the doll doing that she's
Oh.
imitating?
No, she's not imitating the dial in her imitation. She imitating adults. So when she become precocious, and because she imitating her at some point her mama or other females, and she gonna take on these roles. But what I'm doing to her and what I'm trying to do to my kids is we rejecting the culture. We rejecting the culture in which you are built, that you are being built upon. And I'm bringing you into another culture, a culture making you aware of who you really are.
But Yoki, what is she doing with the doll that you don't like? Well, I think what she's saying.
Right.
When she got a doll in her hand, the fact that she got the doll in her hand, is that what's upsetting you, or what was she doing with the doll?
No, I'm not upset at all about the doll or the toy because it's not. It don't even have no place in my reality.
I got you.
That's something that her mama created. She probably got that for Christmas by the fake Santa Claus. My point is that we gonna deal with her mental. So we trying to build her to learn her ABC.
Now, what if she was telling the doll the ABCs? What if she was telling the doll the story?
Okay, that'd have been great.
Okay, that's
But she
right.
wasn't doing that. That would have been great. But what I used to do when I used to tell her, she come here, I say, you couldn't play, bring your toys. She brought her toys. Hey, take it back to your mama car. You know what I'm saying? We'll come in, then I'll probably turn on whatever child.
National Geographic, and I'm
You
joking.
can't
What-
bring
no.
no like ABC, like the learn.
Yeah, she
leapfrog,
could.
like
Yeah,
the
she can.
leapfrog,
Yeah.
stuff like
But
that.
I used to give her my tablet. Yeah. And do
Learning
the
stuff.
ABC. I gave her my tablet. I even gave her my phone, but I had a tablet too. So
But you know what? We're gonna go
I-
ahead and get off this
Yeah.
subject because first of all, I knew they was gonna do. I said I done set the man up.
no,
Gotta
that's
jump on
all
the
good.
politician.
It's all good.
But it's just the fact. I understand where he come from. I understand where you coming from. A kid need to be a kid.
I understand.
learn.
I-
But,
yeah,
under-
but he-
but I'm
he
thinking
give
if
her
it's
something
learning
else.
skills,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
toward
yeah,
it.
we all want.
But I'm
the
with you with
skills.
the fake Santa Claus stuff. Nah, I'm down
no,
with you
it's
and all
not.
that
It's
stuff.
not an issue about that. It's just the thing is you want your children to develop into something other.
Right.
You want them to have. You want to self-identify with who you are when nobody told you are, or looking at something and saying this is
Exactly.
how I'm supposed to be. That's fine. We should all do that. But we can't also stunt imagination because that also helps us develop other ways that we look at life and even our visions as to what we want to do. If you take away my imagination, I can't pretend how to be a teacher. I want to act like I'm teaching somebody. But if I don't have that, if I take away my imagination, I'm going to be afraid to do so.
Right. Like when my
Right.
grandson come down here, I'm trying to be him like an actor. This mama's like, he's too young for that. But at 6 years old, you got to get him
You gotta
early.
get him
You ain't
early.
be playing with no game all
Yep,
day.
yep, you
So I
gotta get him
understand
early.
what he's saying.
Yeah.
Let me
Especially what's going
Yes.
on now.
Yeah.
let me say this here because this how I was raised. My brother, me and my brother real tight. We real close. But we didn't start off. I didn't even know he existed because he stayed in Hammond, Indiana with my Aunt Yvonne who couldn't have kids. So when I met my brother, he was in the hospital at 2 years old. His appendix had erupted. So when he finally moved back home with my mother, I was his teacher. I taught him. My mama had told me, this your brother. I want you to protect him. So those was the instructions I was given. So I taught him his right foot from his left foot. I taught him how to tie his shoes. I taught him how to ride a bike. I taught him how to fight. To this day, my brother followed my suit. I mean, some in bad ways, some in some good ways. But influence and control is the same thing. You can control people through influence. But it's synonymous. The word is synonymous. So I look at social influences or environmental influences. I look at the influences that's upon our women. But like I said, with my kids, I love all my kids.
Right.
But their education is paramount.
Absolutely.
Well, I do think there's more
So-
than one way to skin a cat. So.
That's true. So let's do this. What made you get involved in the community? What age did you start? What made you like, look, this is what I want to do? Did you see something hit your family, or
Yeah, I have a son who was having some difficulties in school,
okay,
and I started being an advocate at school. I started learning about what an IEP is and
okay,
different educational rights, and that's how I actually started.
you been off and running since then?
I've been an advocate ever since then. Yeah,
Okay,
Awesome.
Miss
And you're
McDonald?
good too.
thank you.
I think for me, when I was younger, even in grade school, I was always that kid who, and teachers used to take it wrong. Like if I asked something and they didn't answer it correctly, I say, yeah, but that's not what I asked you. But
Well,
I wasn't
them kids
being,
are
I wasn't being
being-
smart. I'm
right.
just saying, like, I'm trying to understand it, and you're not,
I'm doing it
know,
now.
For real?
not telling me. And then I was interested in like Black Panthers, and when I used to see,
Did y'all see the
different
new
things
movie?
on TV,
yet.
not
Okay.
yet. With the marches, I was just always like that. And then coming into adulthood, I found out that I had family members that were actually involved in a lot of the civil rights things. So
Okay.
I guess it just is
Gotcha,
what it is. Mhm.
Yeah.
I think I know your,
Well,
but you can
yeah,
kinda
but I
break it
also I
down.
wanted to say this here, man, because everything that they saying, and I can tell the power in their voices. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? They some very strong sisters.
Right.
But we witness what come from a lack of unity and a lack of discipline.
Yes.
We gotta witness what comes from total discipline, total unity. You know what I'm saying? And this is what growth and development is all about. When I'm talking about growing mentally and developing physically, you know what I'm saying, or being adults, you know. But yeah,
Absolutely.
and when I came to Georgia, man, to bring this message, to those who give me the opportunity to articulate myself, because this is what I'm about.
Right.
I'm about growing and developing
Right.
into something great.
Right. I mean, I'm glad that we did invite you
Yeah.
all or whatever. Again,
I
we talk
enjoy
about
myself. Thank
anything.
you so much.
We still got about 15 minutes into the program. Any announcements, anything that you're currently working on? I know you be out there. Any upcoming? I know we talked earlier about they having something for John Lewis.
Tomorrow they're having a march for John Lewis, peaceful, silent. I think it's a silent march. Tomorrow.
Okay.
And that's in Atlanta on March the 13th. We're having a big protest for Breonna Taylor in Louisville, Kentucky. Let me give you the address.
They not letting that go, boy. They on that Breonna
Yes,
Taylor. That's
right,
good. Yeah.
yes.
Did they do anything? I'm quite sure. Well, actually, all over the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it you getting the address for tomorrow's event, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
And what is the purpose of it?
Give me a second.
Okay. While she's looking for that, Miss McDonald, again, I'm looking forward to working with you. As you have,
Likewise.
I already knew how you were, but you was more in debt today, so I would love to work with you. And then again, you always welcome to
It'll be my
assist us as
pleasure.
well.
I'm gonna be here for you.
Right.
Yeah.
When I say not I, but we all in
That's
this
right.
together. Do I have
That's
all the
right.
answers? No. But what makes a strong leader is the people that you don't even know that surrounds him, that gives him the knowledge. Because I learned a lot from this brother. I done learned some stuff from you. So I listen a lot,
Yes.
and things like that because, we do make mistakes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
One thing about me, I
Yeah.
pick my battles now. I'm not
Yes,
just going to just jump
yes.
out there just to be seen because there's no solution.
There's no solution.
No, I'm in this business for solutions.
Yeah.
I done got older now.
Mm-hmm.
Is there's a 24-year-old asking me to guide him? I want him to make sure that you in here not to just be seen, but be solutions.
solutions.
You be respected. You might piss some people off because you telling the truth with the community. My dad always tell me that ain't no white man go buy me and ain't no black person go boss me. Period. So I'm gonna be honest with the community, even with this Vincent Truitt case. I know there's some questions. I know there's some concerns. I had a chance to see the video and the diagram on what happened, and things like that. So, but again, it could have been handled differently. It's just the fact another young man has been killed, black man, that a mother is bearing a child. But I hate we put ourselves in them situations like that.
Yeah.
And I understand children gonna be kids, but when you do have a gun, and being black, how quick decisions.
This what they playing with now. They playing with the
Yeah.
gun.
And I do, and
These
I
toys.
understand.
And we had toys these days. We can't
Yeah.
even, like the little Tamira Rice got killed.
Yeah.
We can't
Yeah.
even play guns these days, man.
But
Hey.
the thing is and I get it, and I know a lot of people have your views. Well, he had a gun. What did he expect? I get that, but what I don't get is, okay, be honest. He didn't point the gun. Where the video at? If y'all had all these videos, my question was, why? If you're saying he pointed the gun, why didn't you shoot him at that point? You wait till he get out the car. And he didn't point it. I didn't see.
No,
any
he
of-
never pointed a gun.
But see, that's what the officer's saying. That's what they're saying.
Now, what I seen, I seen beyond the video.
Yeah.
I went and I was told wasting my time. Not wasting my time. First of all, you ain't gonna tell me what to do.
Right.
I'm gonna do what I'm going to do because I was taught it's good to rally and protest, but I want to get inside these doors
Absolutely.
and sit down with you.
See why? Yeah.
He did not point the gun, but he was running with the gun like this, and there was officers. You didn't see this video. It was officers in front of him. See, that was on a diagram. I seen the exclusive diagram that the media is not showing, and it's routing everything up. You know what I mean? You know, first of all, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, I went, met and sat down. It was me, the SCLC. So we seen that. So off, basically, what I'm saying again, what I think the reason why the officer shot me, because say you're an officer, I'm an officer,
Got it.
and I'm running towards you, whatever. So I'm trying to save you. I shoot him, but he's running from you. That's why he shot
See,
him.
I didn't.
So you don't know
didn't
that.
See any officers?
You don't see that in that
Right.
video, but there's a
Right.
diagram that we seen.
Right.
That
But what if
they
that
broke it
diagram
down.
is not? That's the thing is, who holds them accountable? Who holds the police accountable? How
Right.
how can you say that diagram is facts? Well, you don't know that.
Not- That's true.
You know?
It's true. It's just the fact that it's just sad that us as black folks, it happened to us so much. We're very emotional, and it's like, here we go again,
Yeah.
and we need to go off facts. But I understand. Believe me, I'm upset because you have another.
Oh,
This
yeah.
young man was 21 years old. It could have been my son.
No, he was 17.
17. I'm sorry. It's just the fact we all know they don't treat white people like that.
We know
Yeah.
that.
And we
right?
know that.
Right.
And you could kill 9 people and take this man to Burger King. You know what I mean? So I understand where you're coming from. It's
Yeah.
we live in 2 different Americas. It's just the fact that we're gonna hold these people accountable. It's just the fact I'm not just gonna keep rallying and protesting unless we gotta get a solution.
Hey Gerald, the truth of the matter is, man, as long as you got the same people that's sitting at the head of the table, who making these laws and policies, because they're in a position to reward and punish. They reward who they want to, and they punish who they want to.
Right.
They reward their friends and they punish their enemies ruthless. And they look at black people as an enemy. And we just gotta be real.
I understand. Right. That's true.
So let me there's
ahead.
a couple of things that in Ohio because when we talk about accountability and things like
Got
that,
about 8
okay.
minutes.
Okay, so first and foremost, we need more and I hate to even say this, but it's true. So our solution is not always putting another black face in certain positions because you got people who can be bossed around as black people. So the thing is, again, I need to look at you before and after, okay? Before, after, and current, because I need to see what you've been about before you even jumped up here and said that. And then we start looking at legislation. Now, one of the things in Cuyahoga County in Ohio, you know, this mass incarceration and everything going on, and you got all these killings. We have a 36 judge Court of Common Pleas, and out of those 36 judges, there's only 2 black people, and the rest are white common pleas judges, where the most serious crimes are being, you know, challenged. Now, you have all of these male and female black defendants, African American, whatever you want to call them, black and brown. They're before these judges. These judges can sit on that bench as long as they want to. They keep winning. People don't want to run against them. So I said, here's part of criminal reform that we don't address, and that is ensuring that maybe we need to look at reforming the bench, because at the end of the day, that needs to change too. If we don't reform the bench, you're going to keep this cycle going. We're going to stay in the news. Something is always happening. We need to start saying, should we term limit common pleas judges as well? And that was one of my platforms when I first came out, you know, and I got a lot of pushback from judges. But see, listen, at the end of the day, you don't have to accept the prosecutor's decision. The judge can step out and say, I'm going to rule this way.
Absolutely.
You get this and this and that. So when you look at who's running, who are your county commissioners, who's your mayors, who's your judges, who's your state representatives, who's your senators, these are the people that we need to be looking at, because you are the face of the law. You are the face of legislation and policy. So we have to be youth that are coming out of law school. stop. I don't want people saying push them into vocational schools all the time. We understand everybody's not meant for university, but don't you sit up there and complain that we don't have black lawyers, black judges, when you're telling these black kids that have the intellect to do it, go to a vocational school because you're scared about some money. You scared about the money or you scared about the bullet? Which one you scared of?
Right.
Let's get it and run for these offices and encourage our black youth to go into these professions. We got to change it.
Right. You got to challenge them for the power.
Yes.
I never even, as a youth, ever even considered running for an office.
For real.
Never.
Right.
You
Like,
thought about it now?
yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you've been how long you
Oh,
been
I
doing?
got into it on a Facebook battle with the mayor in my city where I'm from,
Okay.
and he's been running. He's been getting the office.
Keep
well,
getting
he-
in, huh?
Yeah, now he's a state representative, but he went. I contested, and
That's the
and
problem.
I'm like, why is he? And
That's
like
the
the other
problem.
people that Kowalski, who you said,
Right.
you know, it was him and I. We were going
For
against
real?
him, and I'm like,
Oh, okay.
and Kowalski told me he was like, what he
Quasi.
it's Kowalski,
I'm messing with
okay?
you. I'm messing with you.
He said that he's been winning uncontested. And I was like, are you
Ain't
kidding
nobody
me?
run right.
That's the
Are you kidding me?
problem.
Right.
That's the
Are you
problem.
kidding me? Okay, let me
So
find
when you hear
something.
people say voting does not matter, what's your perspective?
Absolutely, that's not true. Atlanta proved that.
Thank you.
Atlanta
It
proved that,
does.
and that's the
Thank
reason
you.
why I'm going through what I'm going through with my job, my
Okay.
supervisor. I've been discriminated upon
Eh, eh.
severely
Wow.
because I'm from Georgia, and he knows that. And I was
Yeah.
out with John Ossoff, and
Oh,
me and
okay.
my daughter. You know,
Okay.
we canvassed. It helps.
Gotcha.
They
But you have a
can't.
lot of people say that, man.
They can never tell us
no,
that
you
anymore.
voting definitely
Yeah.
counts.
Right.
That's why they're
Turn this state blue.
That's why they're trying so hard to suppress the vote, and that's why the march is. You asked me about the John Lewis March tomorrow.
What
It's-
is it's based on that voters?
Yeah, it's to march to fight against the voter suppression. They're trying to change the laws in Georgia now.
Yes, they
To,
are.
they're trying to eliminate pretty much absentee votes at this. So
Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
Disenfranchising voters who can't get there. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So let me just tell you what a march is going to
Okay,
be.
yeah.
at.
Got time for some final. We got about 4 minutes left into the show.
There's a John Lewis commemoration silent march. The starting point is the MLK Center. It will be tomorrow from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
The attire is black, white, and blue. And it says bring sparklers, or I guess whatever you use.
Are you going?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most likely.
All right, Miss McDowell, you leaving? When you leaving out tomorrow? Okay. You have a safe
Yeah,
trip.
thank you.
Man,
You know, I'm glad you all came
Yeah.
into you welcome into the studio
Man.
again. You know where we at now.
That's right.
You know,
And you are a true queen.
Thank
And
you.
I
Yes, ma'am.
That
really
is
Right.
Yeah.
really want you to pursue that
Thank
because we need that power, and
Right.
you have everything.
man, a real sister soldier.
Thank you.
And you as well.
Right.
I'm
Yeah, Michelle Obama.
honored to have met you today. I
I'll tell
I
you.
can tell you
Thank
are
you.
absolutely the truth as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, how you read Michelle Alexander?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Yes,
I was
I have.
just wondering,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, hey, that sister boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing that between the I'm being in Ohio for a whole month for March. If you want to come down to Toledo,
Oh yeah. You
you
know,
know,
I'll
if
be
you want to
there.
come down. Oh, you saying that for
I'll
the
be there.
Okay, y'all hear that now?
I said it.
We gonna have a little get together on the 6th. My chapter there. We're gonna
Okay.
have a little get together, meet and greet. We gonna be masked up. The young lady that called, we're gonna be at her house or whatever. Just a little, you know, get
Okay.
together and all that.
Kidnap.
And then I'm gonna have
Yeah.
a press conference up there to announce the president, Miss City Dotson, who I found out today that her dad and my dad marched together back in the day. So it's like deja
That's
vu.
nice.
Very strong sister, man. So I'm excited, man. You know, and things like I always tell people I could build chapters across this country, but one thing is my hometown. I want to make it special.
Right.
You know, that's where it started at. And then I'm really excited. Me and my dad is doing a Black History Month program next Friday at a church in Ohio, but it's going to be visual, whatever you
Okay.
call it. We're going to be on
Let me
Zoom.
know what
That's
it
gonna
is.
be big.
Yeah, so I
My
can
dad
sit
was
down.
young. Oh my God! No disrespect to Larry in there, but he was no joke. Yeah, and remember the original movie Dr. King? My dad went out for that
Oh,
play.
okay.
Yeah, but they gave him at Paul Winfield.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went up the house of church, put on fire. But he always said, son, if you're in this business, don't be in business just to be seen. Be in this business to be solutions.
right.
So that's where I'm at
That's
right now
right.
because people know if you're a fraud or you're running game.
That's right.
And I'm not going to be around people like that work too hard because once they get out, your credibility is gone.
It's gone.
You know, and stuff like that. So I'm just excited. And again, I'm looking forward. Again, you know, you always welcome whatever keep the network with you, whatever, you know, and things like that. So again, subscribe to the channel DISCO100
Space Radio.
Space Radio on YouTube. Again, we're doing great. We're trying to get more subscribers.
You all can
This
follow
has been
me.
Real Talk with New Order live on DISCO100 on radio, Space Radio. Again, this time next week. I'm looking forward to. Will I be here or not be here? I think I'll be traveling. I know you'll hold it down for me. You might want
Yeah, I
maybe
got
bring
you.
the sister and the co-host with you.
Man,
If she's
hey,
available. Go ahead, go do you.
Oh,
too.
you can follow me at Absolute Justice
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Now
give your final thing right quick. I'm
on
sorry.
Instagram at
Okay.
Absolute Justice Now. So
Okay,
I
I'm
post a lot of my work there. At Absolute Justice Now on Instagram.
okay.
You want to give out the
Yeah,
contact information?
and actually you can follow me at lawyersfoundation.org or euclidnaacp.org. And I just want to put this out there. We are the National Association and Advisory Council on Policy Making. We rebranded, so that's who we are now.
Wow.
Okay.
Want to give an announcement on your grandbaby?
Oh yeah, yeah. I love my granddaughter. Hey, no, just in case she watch.
To my New Order family, not I but we. I love you all. Let's continue to do the work, not I but we. And then for the record, you heard Miss McDonald. What did she say? She said she coming to Toledo on March 6th.
Okay.
It's on tape.
I'm on record.
It's on record. So
Yeah.
thank God. Appreciate that. And New Order for life. Peace.
All right, peace.
Peace.